जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 15. Yat pada samshraya sutta munayah prasamanaya mayana munaya prashamayanaha sadya punantyupashrita स्वर्धुनी आपो अनुसेवया यत्पाद संशया सुता मुनय प्रशमायनः सद्य पुनन्त्युपाश्रितः स्वर्धुनो आपो अनुसेवया यत्पाद संशया सुता मुनय प्रशमायनः सद्य पुण्यन्त्युपश्रिता स्वर्धुन्यापो अनुसेवया यत्पाद संशया सुता मुनया प्रशमायनः सद्य पुनन्त्युपाश्रिता सद्रुन्यापोनुसेवया यत्पाद संशया सुता मुनया प्रशमायनः उपाशिष्टा स्वर्धन्यापोनुसेवया यत्पाद संशया सुता न्यापोनुसेवया यत्पाद संश्रया सुता मुनया प्रशमायनः अद्य पुनन्ति उपास्पृष्टा स्वर्धुन्यापोनुसेवया Yat, whose, pada, lotus feet, samshrayah, those who have taken shelter of, Sutta, O Sutta Goswami, Munayah, great sages, Prashamayanaha, absorbed in devotion to the Supreme, Sadyah, at once, Punanti, sanctify, Upasprashta, simply by association, Swardhuni, of the sacred Ganges, Apaha, water, Anusevaya, bringing into use. Translation: O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. Purport, translation purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Purport, pure devotees of the Lord are more powerful than the waters of the sacred river Ganges. One can derive spiritual benefit out of prolonged use of the Ganges water, but one can be sanctified at once by the mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that any person, regardless of birth as a Shudra, woman or merchant, can take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and by doing so can return to Godhead. To take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord means to take shelter of the pure devotees. The pure devotees whose only business is serving are honored by the names Prabhupada and Vishnupad, which indicate such devotees to be representatives of the lotus feet of the Lord. Anyone, therefore, who takes shelter of the lotus feet of a pure devotee by accepting the pure devotee as his spiritual master can at once be purified. Such devotees of the Lord are honored equally with the Lord because they are engaged in the most confidential service of the Lord, for they deliver out of the material world the fallen souls whom the Lord wants to return home back to Godhead. Such pure devotees are better known as wise lords, according to revealed scriptures. The sincere disciple of the pure devotee considers the spiritual master equal to the Lord, but always considers himself to be a humble servant of the Lord. This is the pure devotional path. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, warm welcome to all the devotees today for a very special festival, the appearance day of His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. So, it's a very special day for all of us. Janmashtami is always special, but Srila Prabhupada's appearance day is equally special for devotees of ISKCON, because devotees of ISKCON would not exist if not for Srila Prabhupada. Let's be clear about that. Because Krishna has always been there, eternally there, since time immemorial. The Lord has always been there. But to bring the glories of Krishna into our lives, and to bring Krishna consciousness into the psyche of millions of people worldwide, not just the minds, but their day-to-day lifestyles, into their day-to-day, practices. That was done by Srila Prabhupada. So we are always eternally grateful to what Srila Prabhupada has done. And there is no way that we can ever repay what Srila Prabhupada has done for us. So today, I was thinking of speaking. The verse is a very special verse again. O Sutta, those great sages, just see this verse in relation to Srila Prabhupada. O Sutta, those great sages who have taken completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use. So, very interesting, beautiful verse. It says that the pure devotees of the Lord who have taken complete shelter of the Lord, Prabhupada, one who is completely taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, that person simply by just by seeing them, one gets purified, right? So it's a very powerful statement being made. I am reminded once of once one disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He had come to the temple and he gave Sunday feast class sitting here. Very beautiful class he gave. Spoke for good 1.5 hours. And after the class was over, he asked any questions. So one devotee sitting in front, he said, Prabhuji, can you please tell us about your interactions with Srila Prabhupada's pastimes? Tell us about your pastimes with Srila Prabhupada. That kind of thing, question somebody asked. So when this question was asked, that devotee got a very distant, far away look in his face. He started looking like this. And he said, actually, I never met Prabhupada. Okay, he said that once when I was in the temple, I was serving in some temple, Prabhupada had come to that temple. And when he came to that temple, he was passing, when he was passing by me from a distance, he glanced at me. That's it. Prabhupada just glanced at me. And basis of that one glance, this devotee had been serving for last 45 years. Can you imagine? Darshane pavitra koro, ei tomar gun. So this is not what Narottam Das Thakur writes. It's not some theory, some nice bhajan. Okay, tabi it was all right. Now it is not. No, this is a fact. Darshane pavitra karo, ei tomar gun. There is one more story, of a disciple, Rupanuga. So before he became Rupanuga, his name was Bob. This is in New York. So he writes that once he saw Srila Prabhupada, he was sitting, he was giving darshan, devotees were coming and meeting. And the devotees would cut an apple. They would cut an apple and they would divide it into 4 pieces. Prabhupada would take one piece and then he would give the rest to the devotees. So he took that apple, okay, and he bit it. And there was a seed in that. And he just spit the seed. Prabhupada was sitting there. He just spit the seed. That seed went out of his mouth. First of all, when he ate it, the juice came out. And the seed went flying out, hit the wall, and fell on the floor over there, And this person was thinking, how amazing. Nobody else can do something. No one else will dare to do something like this. Only this person, Swamiji, can do it. And just by seeing this, he became a devotee. Right? So, we cannot imagine, sometimes we preach to people for months, years, decades, and still they are not becoming devotees. They are, well-wishers at most. Hare Krishna, you're doing very good. You please do. We are all right as we are. And here someone sees, a person just spitting an apple seed and they become devotees, right? So therefore, I thought today I'll take topic of the magic of Srila Prabhupada, right? So Srila Prabhupada was a magician. The magician, and you may say that has he learned magic? Has he learned some hypnosis or something? No, nothing like that. He had the magic of purity. He had the magic of faith in the holy names. He had the magic of faith in the words of his guru. He had the magic of faith in the words of parampara. And on that magic, armed with that magic, he did magic all over the world. So today let us try and explore what this magician Srila Prabhupada did for all of us. So I have just put down some 5-6 points, and they're just my thoughts. They may not be, obviously, it is not possible for a person in whatever 45-50 minutes now that I have to cover all the magic that Srila Prabhupada did. I'm only giving a small, jhalki, as they say. If we really want to understand what he has done, we will never really fully understand, but for us to get even a flavor of what he has done, we should read Prabhupada Leelamrit. It's a very good book for those who are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, those who are followers of ISKCON to read, because by reading Leelamrit, we will understand what went into this magic. How much of sacrifice Srila Prabhupada did, how much of tapasya he did before he became Prabhupada. We just know what came afterward. Before we don't know. So the magic of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so the first point I wanted to share with all of you is for those of you who have heard Srila Prabhupada's lectures. We must have all read his books. All of us might have at least got exposed to some of his books. But not everybody may have heard Prabhupada's lectures. Okay, so Prabhupada's lectures, in every lecture, the first magic I'm giving you, okay, in every lecture, you may say that what he will say, because Prabhupada, there's this popular thing that Prabhupada in every lecture, ghum fir ke, he speaks about the body, you're not this body, you're the soul, you're servant of Krishna. Same old thing he says, we feel like that. But if we listen to his lectures, not even long lectures, some 6-7 minute clips keep coming, on YouTube. So in every one of those lectures, there is something unique, he says. Something which you have never heard before. Now, you might have heard it, but in a different way he says it. And it is unbelievable. I have seen this every time. Whenever I hear a clipping of Srila Prabhupada, I find that there's something unique he has said. And something that just, it goes and pierces your heart immediately. Just his words are like that. I'll just give you some examples, okay? So I just randomly picked 3 lectures and I picked 3 points from that, okay? So Prabhupada says in one lecture, Krishna knows the actions and desires. Krishna knows the actions and desires of a little ant. And he also knows the actions and desires of Brahma, the greatest living entity in the universe. Okay? So you may say, what is so great about this? But it's a unique point that Krishna knows actions and desires of everyone. No matter how insignificant they may be, how great they may be, he knows actions and desires of everybody. Achha, another one. Narad Muni says that if one accepts the instructions of Krishna even by sentiment, okay, not that you fully accepted, you applied in your life. Prabhupada is saying that Narad Muni says if one accepts the instructions of Krishna even by sentiment, so Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, all right, let us stop other business, become Krishna conscious. Just in sentiment. Karne ka koi ichha nahi hai. Matlab, there's no real intention to do anything. Just a sentiment. Krishna is saying, so maybe we should. He says, even if by sentiment we accept this point, if he accepts this sentiment not thoroughly, still he is fortunate because he accepts the real thing. See, such a simple statement, but so much hope Prabhupada gives in one statement, and again, unique statement. Another example I'll give you. He says, Bhagavad Dharma is very liberal. Okay? He says, so somebody is asking a question to Prabhupada that, Hindu religion, Muslim religion, is a Christian religion, Buddhism, what is best, something like that. So Prabhupada says that whatever system of religion you accept, that is all right. But we have to see the result. Have you understood God and have you become a lover of God? Have you understood God and have you become a lover of God? Then your religion is perfect. Simply by stamping that I am Hindu, Muslim or Christian, there is no profit. See, each statement that Prabhupada makes, we can, devotees can take one full lecture on just this one statement. That statement is just casually coming in a lecture. And in every lecture, there is one statement like this. At least one. Matlab, if you really listen, you'll find 10. But at least one statement which is hard hitting, that jumps out of the purport and immediately pierces the heart. So this is the first magic of Srila Prabhupada, that in every lecture of Srila Prabhupada, from now on, if you all ever listen to Srila Prabhupada, listen for this. Just pay attention. You'll find one statement there that just straight away hits your heart. All right? Then the second magic of Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada, the way he taught philosophy, okay, many of us, some of us may have studied philosophy in college. Some may have done. Anyone here who's done BA philosophy? Anybody? Very few people do nowadays. So yeah, there is this BA in philosophy. If you have ever read any philosophical books before you came in touch with Srila Prabhupada, before you came in touch with the books written by Prabhupada, philosophy by itself is very complex, very difficult for common people like us to understand, let alone to apply in our life. Very difficult. Because philosophy by nature is dry. It's very difficult. So most people who hear someone starts talking philosophy, what is the natural reaction of everybody? Pakamat. In colleges, for example, in college, you go to a college, and if someone starts talking big Vedanta philosophy, what is the immediate reaction of college students? Kya bolenge? Pakamat yaar, bas kar abhi. Enough, right? That is our natural reaction, because we are not used to, we don't like to hear philosophy. But Srila Prabhupada's magic is such that in his small books or in his large books, the philosophy of Vedanta, the philosophy of Bhagavatam, philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, which has been studied for 5,000 years by millions of people, but still not completely comprehended. He gives the essence of Bhagavad Gita so beautifully that even youngsters can understand it and accept it. Anyone who comes to this temple for even 6 months, you just have to come here and sit and listen for 6 months. That's it. You'll know the whole philosophy. Doesn't matter who the speaker is. Koi bhi speaker ho. Any speaker comes and speaks here and you hear for 6 months, you'll know the whole philosophy. You'll know everything. It will fall into your head like a jigsaw puzzle. Every element of the philosophy will be in your head like a jigsaw puzzle. And not just that you will know the philosophy. You will understand it. You will be convinced that I have to apply it also. And not just that, if after 6 months, some speaker comes and speaks something that is slightly different, kuch alag, kuch hatke, something different somebody says, look around you in the audience, everyone becomes tense. Everyone understands, even the newcomers understand, kuch to gadbad hai. There's something wrong here. This person is speaking something that is not as per what Prabhupada has given. Magical. That ordinary people like you and me are able to understand this philosophy and can understand if somebody is speaking wrong. This is the magic. So Prabhupada says himself, he says the descriptions given in these books are not mundane speculations, but they are the authorized versions of liberated souls presented by our humble self. So if you see this phrase, our humble self, it appears, in folio, if you look, it comes in many places. Prabhupada never says me, presented by me, I presented. He always says our humble self. So look at the words he uses. These are descriptions given in these books of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Ishopanishad, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, so many books, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, so many books Srila Prabhupada has written. He says the descriptions of these books are not mundane speculations. He himself is saying that is not this, I sat and I thought today, chalo, this verse, what shall I write? They're not mundane speculations, but authorized versions of liberated souls. Who is authorized to write even a commentary on, people like us can't just pick up Bhagavatam and say, chalo, today I'll also write. I feel like writing, let me write. No. These are authorized descriptions of liberated souls. It's amazing. So he says it's just presented by our humble self. So once, one person, he kind of challenged, Prabhupada. He was an elderly Indian gentleman, okay, who was visiting Srila Prabhupada. He became gradually critical of Srila Prabhupada. He said, Swamiji, you should not criticize so many people. You should see everyone equally. He said, you should see everyone equally. Bhagavad Gita says, no, that Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihestani Sunicheva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So he quoted, he told that, see, Gita says you should see everybody equally. So Prabhupada replied, oh, that is a higher stage. I am not on that stage. He says, I distinguish. On the higher stage, you don't distinguish between pious activity and sinful activity. But I distinguish. I say you are sinning and you should stop. So as the discussion continued, Prabhupada kept referring to the previous acharyas in order to support his viewpoint. And he says, I have my Bhagavad Gita. I have my acharyas. I stand on their authority. So he says, I stand on the authority of Bhagavad Gita, previous acharyas. So this elderly gentleman, unhone bhi choda nahi, he didn't leave. He carried the argument further. He says, all right, but what have you done beyond that? You are saying that you have Bhagavad Gita, you have acharyas' purports. What have you done beyond that? You are just repeating what they have done. What have you done? Big challenge. So Prabhupada replied, I have not done anything. He says, I have not done anything. I am simply repeating. So my contribution is that I have made this knowledge available to people all over the world. Without discrimination, I have given Krishna consciousness to everyone. That is my contribution, and that is my version of Pandita Samadarshina. When Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada concluded the interview, and the man expressed gratefulness, and he went away saying loudly, yes, he is truly Samadarshana. He is truly Samadarshana. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, by his books, he himself is saying that, I am just presenting what liberated souls have given. I am just repeating that. So, if you look at the books, if you read the purports of Srila Prabhupada, see, our misfortune is that we don't really end up reading too much. That is our misfortune. Even after coming to ISKCON, initially we all read with great enthusiasm. Some of us read because we were interested in reading. Some of us read because we had a lot of doubts we wanted to clear. Some of us read because someone caught our ears and made us read. But now no one catches our ears, so now we don't read. But if you read Srila Prabhupada's books, you will see how wonderful those presentations are. Srila Prabhupada's purports are written in such simple, lucid language. He doesn't use any flowery words. Of course, there are a few words there like phantasmagoria, back to Godhead. These were phrases which we had never heard before we came to ISKCON. But see, generally what Prabhupada writes, he writes in very simple, easy to understand English. Anyone who can read English can understand. In fact, the Hindi translations are more difficult because those who translate it into Hindi, they use very flowery language. But the English is very simple, lucid language. But that is not all. He has taken the esoteric truths of the scripture and given it in language which you and me can understand and apply. But not just that. He has filled his books with analogies. Just look at how many analogies Srila Prabhupada has given. I remember many years back, almost, I think 25 years back, His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj had started a project, that different devotees go through different books and find the analogies that Srila Prabhupada has given in the books, and he was compiling all those analogies. So very, very wonderful project. I don't know, we all contributed. I don't know whether it finally saw light of day, but look at the analogies that Srila Prabhupada gives. They're so powerful, something which philosophy is very difficult to understand. If someone says that the soul jivera sarupoe krishnera nityadas, the constitutional nature of the soul is to serve the complete whole, the Supreme Lord Krishna. This is the philosophy. Very difficult for us to understand and accept this. Very difficult. Bolna asan, to say it is very easy, but to accept it is very difficult. Look at Prabhupada's analogy. He says that if the fingers pick up something like a gulab jamun, and the fingers try to enjoy the gulab jamun, you'll feel, it is so soft, it is so nice and glistening. But after some, the finger cannot enjoy that gulab jamun. What is the enjoyment of the finger? When the finger takes that gulab jamun and serves it to the mouth enjoys the gulab jamun. That energy that is created by that gulab jamun courses through the body, reaches the finger, and the finger has energy to do its job, and that is the enjoyment of the finger. What a simple analogy, that the finger or the hand is a part of the body, therefore its service, its constitutional position is to serve the body. Same way, like the soul is part and parcel of Krishna, so our constitutional nature is to serve Krishna. Then incarnations. We hear that from Krishna came Balram, from Balram came the first Chaturvyuha, from Chaturvyuha came... So like the whole description is given. Very difficult. We say that all are identical. Balramji is non-different from Krishna. Only difference is the body is different. Their appearance is different. Otherwise, same. The Chaturvya, same. Mahavishnu, same. All same. How do we understand? Very difficult to conceive how all can be identical. So Prabhupada gives the example like one candle lighting the other candle, and the second candle, the third candle, fourth candle, fifth, there maybe you will light 100 candles, right? But ete chamsha kala pumsam Krishnastu Bhagwan Syam. That the original candle is the original candle. There may be 100 candles you light with the original candle, and they all have the same light. But original is original. That's why Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? Such a simple analogy. Then he gives the example of Archa Vigraha. That if we are worshipping Archa Vigraha, how do we know that that worship is reaching Krishna? This is made of stone. How do you accept that this is authorized? So he gives the example of mailbox, post box, right? Everyone knows. See, such simple analogies he gives. He says that there may be many red boxes on the street. If you put your letter inside that red box, it will not reach the destination. But you put it in the authorized post box created by the Postal Office of India, then it reaches its destination. You don't have to worry, it will reach. So same way, if this Murti, a pure devotee, invites the Lord, and then Prana Pratishtha is done, then that deity, if you worship that deity, whatever you offer, that deity is not different from Krishna. And if you worship that deity, that worship is reaching the Supreme Lord. Such a simple analogy. He speaks about fan. Fan he gives in what connection? Anyone? Karma. He says that why do devotees continue to suffer? After becoming devotee, I became devotee so many years back, still I am suffering. Yeah, because so much karma is there. So much karma. It's like a fan which is running. Now this fan is running maybe on 4 or 5 speed. Imagine if there was a 15 speed. Now if you switch off this fan, it will take about 1 minute to turn off. 1 minute it will take. Imagine if a fan had a speed of 15, not 5, but 15 ka speed. You imagine how much time after you switch it off also it will keep running. Long time, no? So Prabhupada says same way, we have karma of previous lifetimes, which we have to suffer or enjoy for. So even if we have come to bhakti, we have basically switched off the fan. But even if you have switched off the fan, there is so much inertia in that fan, it keeps running for some time. So you will still get air even after the fan is switched off. Same way, even if we came to bhakti, our karma of so many lifetimes is accumulated. It will take some, that inertia will keep going. For some time, we will continue to suffer. So like this, Srila Prabhupada's books are full of analogies. That makes it so simple even for a child to understand. Even a child can understand these analogies. In fact, for adults, it's easy. Not easy, I'll say, but easier to at least understand the language of Srila Prabhupada. But analogies makes it simple even for youngsters, for children to understand. To give you an example of how many analogies are there in Prabhupada's books, we may feel, there must be some. There are hundreds, okay? I'll just give you an example. I was seeing Bhagavad Subodhini. The devotees have written this beautiful summary form of each canto, showing the whole structure and flow of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in Bhagavad Subodhini, I noticed that at the end of Bhagavad Subodhini, they have given all the analogies that are mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in his purports in that canto. So, I was seeing third canto Bhagavad Subodhini. In just third canto, there are 128 analogies. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Can we imagine 128 analogies, all unique? Unique analogies, and not that some overlap is there. They have done they've taken a lot of pain. They have categorized it, according to analogies about Jiva, analogies about Krishna, analogies about karma. So all different topics, they have classified them. 128 analogies. It's ridiculous. In one canto. Across the 12 cantos, of course, he wrote purports to 10 cantos. But for 10 cantos, you can imagine there must be at least 500. One person has come up with so many analogies. Why? So that the second magic, that the philosophy can be understood and applied with conviction by you and me. By anybody. Even a child can understand like that. Then the third magic of Srila Prabhupada, this is one of his very significant magic, is how he transformed the hippies into happies and then into Hare Krishnas. He didn't just make hippies into happies. He made them into Vaishnavas. Okay, so we say that Prabhupada transformed the hippies into happies, but he made them happies and he made them Hare Krishnas. So you can see that Prabhupada, when he went to the Western world, when he went in 1965, he had no support. He had no support, and he was preaching to, just actually, there was no audience also. He was just, whoever was willing to hear, he was preaching to them. And in his interactions with these hippies, mostly hippies only were coming. No people like all of you were there. It was, you can imagine, it's very difficult to sit in front of someone who's a complete hippie. We don't know what a hippie is because we have not seen too many over here. But if you see, you will be bewildered. Once His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu had told, he said that once he went for book distribution in the train during book marathon. And he went to the train, and inside the compartment, he found one American person sitting there. I don't remember what he said, white body, black body, but he was sitting, big guy, he was sitting there. And he said, Radha Gopinath said that I went to that person and I offered him a book. I started talking to him. I said that this book is based on the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. And, he says he was just giving me such a cold stare. He didn't even blink. He was just staring at me like that. His expression didn't change. He didn't nod. He didn't know. He said no. He just kept staring. So Radha Gopinath said that after some time, I started, getting doubts about myself that, what am I doing here? I'm preaching to this person. What? So he said his realization from that was that how great is Srila Prabhupada that these hippies, he went and he preached to them and he converted them into Vaishnavas. Unbelievable. Isn't this magic? That they have no appreciation for Vedic culture. They had a rule that no respect, don't trust anyone above the age of 30. This is their maxim, this is their philosophy, their principle. Don't trust anyone above the age of 30. This is what hippies said, and Prabhupada was 70. Can you imagine? They couldn't understand his accent. It's very difficult. As I said, if you hear his lectures, it takes some time to get used to Prabhupada's accent, to what he's speaking. It's not easy to catch. We understand Bengali accent because we have grown up with Bengali, so we can understand. But for Americans to understand what he's speaking, they couldn't understand half of what he's saying. Half, maybe 3/4 they couldn't understand, right? But still, there are no appreciation for Vedic culture, no appreciation for an elderly gentleman, no appreciation for what he's speaking. But still, he won their hearts. He won their hearts how? With love and compassion. They just knew that this person he's not here for anything. He's just here to give us something good. He's here to give us Krishna. By his love and compassion, Prabhupada won their hearts. A greater cultural mismatch in this world is not possible. We say mismatch of culture, rasa, bhas, mismatch. Greater mismatch than this is not possible. A person who has never even drunk tea in his whole life, that person is living among college dropouts whose whole life is sex and drugs. He's living with them, he's preaching to them, and he's making them Vaishnavas. Isn't it amazing? Yet, he installed this bhakti, he installed bhakti in their hearts, he installed Vedic culture in their hearts, he gave them a deep respect and a deep understanding of the philosophy, and a lifelong commitment was injected into these souls. Can you imagine what Prabhupada has done? That people who are there in the other extreme, he not only turned their minds, he gave them bhakti, Vedic culture, made them understand the philosophy, gave them so much conviction that they became committed to Srila Prabhupada for the rest of their lives. And they in turn gave it to millions of people. We are sitting here because the disciples of Srila Prabhupada have given us what we have. Otherwise, we wouldn't know Srila Prabhupada, because his disciples had carried that conviction that he gave them in their hearts. With that conviction, they convinced us. So magic. Srila Prabhupada transformed the hippies into happies, into Hare Krishnas, into Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada ki. Then the fourth magic. Okay, first three magic was, first we said that in every lecture, something unique. Second magic, we said that philosophy given in such a way that anyone can understand it. Third magic was he transformed hippies into happies, into Hare Krishnas. Now the fourth one, and this is the most stupendous, and this one this really looks like magic. Okay, how many in this room have ever built a temple? Anybody? In the span of 12 years, 108 temples. 108 temples. Okay? In 12 years, he initiated 5,000 disciples. In 12 years, he wrote 80 books. And in the same 12 years, aisa nahi ki first 12 years he built temples, then next 12 years he made disciples, next 12 years he wrote 80 books. I don't know if maybe there are some amongst you who have tried at least. Anyone tried writing a book? Anyone written a book here? Some maybe. Our Braj Bihari Prabhu sitting there has written a couple of books. It takes time to write a book. It's not easy to put your thoughts. And this is not ordinary book. This is Bhagavatam. Take one verse, take a Sanskrit dictionary and try to write translation only word by word translation. उसी में जान निकल जाएगी. It's not easy. Then to translate, write the word by word translation, then read purports of different acharyas, then assimilate all that, and then write a purport that is just right for you and me in simple language, with analogies, with practical examples, with a striking word, with some reference to other scriptures to give more authority and bona fideness. All of this he's written. Each purport must be taking, I don't know how many hours. He used to stay up till 2 a.m. in the night and write these purports. 2 a.m., 3 a.m. He would sit whole night and write, and whole day he would be preaching. 108 temples. Can we imagine? So in it's mentioned, Srila Prabhupada approved of his disciples making ambitious plans for spreading Krishna consciousness. Okay, Prabhupada said yes. Someone said, Prabhupada, can we start a temple in Montreal? Yes. Can we start a temple? He sent, I forget who now. I forget. Anyway, he sent one of his prominent, Brahmanand Swami. He sent him to Pakistan to preach. Can you imagine someone going to Pakistan to preach? He went to Pakistan. And someone went to Brazil, someone went to Argentina, someone went to France, someone went to Germany, someone went to UK. Unbelievable. And Prabhupada approved disciples making ambitious plans. So one devotee asked, but Prabhupada, how are we going to get the money to do all this? To build a temple needs serious money. Today, can you imagine, to build one Thane temple, it took so many years. To build Kharghar temple took so many years. It takes years to build a temple. These devotees, 108 temples, of course not all were built, many were just taken over. But 108 temples with deities, with 6 artis a day, with Bhagavatam class, with all the tam jham, everything was done in 12 years. Right? Prabhupada said, when this devotee said, how are we going to get the money to do all this? Prabhupada said, you make the plans, Krishna will provide the money. And it happened. Prabhupada said it, and it happened. Right? Magic. Once about books, about Prabhupada's books. So Prabhupada would write these books, as I said, till 1 a.m. 1 a.m. in the night he would get up. He would sleep maybe around 10:30, 11 in the night. And he would get up at 1 o'clock and he would start translating books until 3:34 he would translate, then he would rest for a little time, then come for Mangal Aarti. This is what Prabhupada's daily schedule was. And whole day preaching activities, whole day. So whenever he would finish writing some book, he would very eagerly wait for the physical book to come in his hands. He was very anxious, when it will come, when it will come. So his disciples knew this. So Rameshwar Swami, who was heading BBT at that time, he and one devotee called Radha Vallabh, they had the 7th canto part 2 had just been printed in Japan, in Dai Nippon printing press. So they had ordered for an advance copy by courier, by plane it had come. So they had gone to the airport to pick it up. They took 2 books and they came to meet, running to meet Srila Prabhupada. Okay? And it was 2 a.m. in the night. Does any of us have guts to go and meet our respective guru at 2 a.m. in the night? Will not. But these people had the guts because they knew that Prabhupada he will be translating books at this time. So they went rushing towards Srila Prabhupada's room And they went to the room and they saw that the light is on, but Prabhupada was not in the room. So they thought he must be in the toilet. So they came out of the room, and in the passage as they came, Prabhupada came. He came out of the washroom. So they, like small children, very excitedly, they hid the Bhagavatam behind them like this. They hid. And Prabhupada also saw. He's also playing along with them. He said, "Oh, you have something for me. Come, 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 come." So he took them to the room. And when he came to the room, he said, show me what. So they removed the book and they gave him, they gave him the 7th canto, second part. Now, who has written this book? Who has translated? Prabhupada has translated. But he was so excited. He took the book, he said, and he first touched it to his head like this. And then, he went, he saw the front cover, he saw the back cover, he opened, he went to the front matter, the preface, and then carefully looked at all the pictures. Another special feature of Prabhupada's books are the beautiful pictures. They're windows to the spiritual world, as Srila Prabhupada calls it, right? He inspired his disciples to make these paintings. That's why I'm saying that Ginti, if you start counting, there is no end to it. There is no end to the magic that Prabhupada has done. There's no end to it. Just few snippets we are taking here. So Prabhupada started looking at all the pictures, and then Prabhupada started reading the book. Now you imagine it must be 2:30 a.m. in the night, okay? So he started reading the book from Prahlad pacifies the Lord with prayers. So Rameshwar Swami says, the joyful presentation party, two of them, Rameshwar Swami and Radha Vallabh, joyful presentation party merged into the ecstasy, of a Bhagavatam reading by Srila Prabhupada. He read on for 40 minutes. For 40 minutes he was reading, seemingly oblivious to everything else. He's just reading Bhagavatam at 2:30 in the night. Right? So this is the love that Srila Prabhupada, this is the sacrifice he made to give us these books, and this is the love that he had for his books. And one more story related to books. So Srila Prabhupada's first books, they were printed at the ISKCON press. This is before Dai Nippon and everything was there. So, but they weren't very expertly done. So once Srila Prabhupada received the first copy of a paperback, edition of a Bhagavatam chapter. It was a paperback edition. So when he got it, he opened it. As soon as he opened it, the binding of the book fell apart in his hands. Uska pura binding nikal ke aa gaya, it came out. So the devotees to the devotees who saw this, he asked that, what will it take for my disciples to learn how to print these books so that they'll not fall apart? Prabhupada gave a lot of importance to books because his guru had told him that whenever you have money, print books. Prabhupada was very, very keen that books keep on getting. I mean, I came across so many stories of Srila Prabhupada and books because that was his crying priority. Really wanted continuously. He would say, if someone said that we ran out of books, he would get very angry. Book distribution, if someone said we ran out of books, he said, what do you mean ran out of books? He said, Prabhupada, whatever was printed all got over. He said, Are, how it got over? Get more books. He said, no, we'll have to print more. Are? So how is this possible? He would say that you have to print always extra. Print extra, doesn't matter. You print extra, as it's getting over, you print more. I will give you the money, you please print. He was so, keen. So Prabhupada, when he received this book and it fell out, he said, what will it take for my disciples to learn how to print these books so that they don't fall apart? So Brahmananda was there. He says, sincerity, Prabhupada. What will it take for you to do this? So he replied, sincerity, Prabhupada. If you were more sincere, we could do it. Srila Prabhupada looked at the broken book in his hand and he said, no. So Brahmananda Swami and all the disciples were very surprised because they thought it's the correct answer, that for us to learn how to print these books so that they don't fall apart, sincerity is needed. Prabhupada said no. One of them asked that, not sincerity? Prabhupada said, sincerity, yes, but intelligence also. Be intelligent, be attentive. Don't just say, oh, sincerity is all right. We're very sincere devotees. No, you have to learn. You have to learn how to do things properly. So this big mission of Srila Prabhupada, which in 12 years' time, 108 temples, 5,000 disciples, and 80 books were all done in a span of 12 years. And on that foundation, which was built in those 12 years, ISKCON aaj bhi khada hai. It is still standing on that wonderful foundation that Srila Prabhupada built for us. Okay, another miracle for someone when ISKCON started, when before it was ISKCON, it was just some devotees coming together trying to serve Srila Prabhupada. So in 1966, there were just some 10, 12 devotees, 10, 12. Few of them I think had been initiated. At that time, Prabhupada registered ISKCON. So many of us have heard this. We say that what was he thinking when he called it International Society for Krishna Consciousness? International? It was not even New York Society of Krishna Consciousness. It was Lower East Side, which is like, probably the Dharavi of New York. It was that kind of an area. Of course, now Dharavi, there are many wonderful devotees, many hundreds of devotees in just Dharavi by the efforts of His Grace Satyanarayan Prabhu. So amazing preaching happening in Dharavi also. But yeah, it was like a Bowery, and over there, he has created this society. He is naming it International Society for Krishna Consciousness. What vision he must have had? What he must be thinking? But he named it. Because in Jhansi, when he tried, he called it, anyone knows? League of Devotees. It was just Jhansi League of Devotees. That's it. But here he called it International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Someone asked him, why not God consciousness? He says, not God, Krishna consciousness. Like that. So Prabhupada's vision went way beyond Lower East Side of New York to the whole world. He was not thinking about only, of course, his guru had given him the instruction that take the mission, take the words, take the message of Bhagavad Gita, take the message of Lord Chaitanya in English language to the Western world. So he could have said, oh yeah, done, see, now I've got 10 disciples and I have done. He could have said, chalo, Hare Krishna, and gone back and, settled down in Vrindavan again. No, his vision was that, okay, now these people are there. If we, again, when we read Leelamrit, we can understand how much thinking this person has done, how much thinking Prabhupada has done. So he had, by that time, there were already something like 30 temples in the Western world. And around 1971, 71, he decided to come to India. So his disciples asked him that, Prabhupada, why you are doing like this? Because your guru gave you instruction, Western world, Paschata Deshatarine. Why you are going to India? He said, no, we need to go to India. And he took a bunch of disciples. So Giriraj Swami writes this in his book. So he says that Prabhupada took a bunch of 10, 12 devotees, some of the best devotees from all the different temples. He wrote letters to the temple commander, send your best devotees. So the best ones he picked, hand-picked, cherry-picked, and took them to India, and India the movement started. Right? So we have to also be forever grateful for the contribution of these Western devotees, what they did, due to which we are all sitting here today. Otherwise, there would be ISKCON only in Western countries. It is here today flourishing because of what these disciples, early disciples of Srila Prabhupada did. So, Prabhupada, he had this vision. So there is this story, I couldn't find the story, but I've heard it. I'm just repeating what I remember. That once he was sitting on a bench in a park in New York. He's sitting on that bench, and on that bench, one more person came and sat beside him, and he started talking to him, and he asked him, what do you do? And Prabhupada said, oh, there are many temples, there are 108 temples, thousands of followers all over the world, when actually at that time he had nothing. He had nothing at that time. Practically, there were no followers, and there was no temple, there was no center, there was nothing. But he had the vision, he had the faith in the words of his guru. Just imagine what kind of what kind of miracle this is. That with no resources, he created a worldwide movement, and he had the vision for it. He already thought about it. 108 temples. He had told his disciples, before I die, there should be 108 temples. And his disciples made it happen. Right? So yet another thing, that he was able to foresee a worldwide movement from a small storefront in New York. Okay? Then another magic, how Srila Prabhupada fulfilled the predictions of our acharyas. Our acharyas made so many statements, so many predictions they made. So Srila Prabhupada, he fulfilled them. In Srimad Bhagavatam 3.22.5, I am quoting in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, once we had the opportunity to meet Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and on first sight, he requested this humble self. Again, he says everywhere, he doesn't talk about himself as requested me. He says he requested this humble self to preach his message in the Western countries. There was no preparation for this, but somehow or other he desired it. And by his grace, we are now engaged in executing this order, which has given us a transcendental occupation and has saved and liberated us from the occupation of material activities. So see what he is doing, what Prabhupada is doing in this statement. He is giving all credit to his Guru. He is saying, my Guru gave me the empowerment to do this. By his grace, we are engaged in executing his order. He is not taking credit, like, see what I am doing. He is saying, by his grace, I am executing his order, that's all. Which has given us a transcendental occupation. Saying that otherwise, I would have been in the occupation of material activities. But because my Guru was very kind upon me, he engaged me in this transcendental occupation. That is why what is happening is happening. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Then, in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Lord Chaitanya himself says, Prithvi te ache jata nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar hoibe mora naam. What an amazing statement. The Supreme Lord came and he made this prediction that in every town and village, my name will be chanted. If someone read Chaitanya Charitamrit maybe in 100 years back, okay, in 1922, if someone read 1924, someone read Chaitanya Charitamrit and really studied it, Chaitanya Bhagavat, if someone read, kuch bhi, kuch bhi, aisa kuch bhi bola hai, any kind of statement is made. How can we believe this? Would anyone believe it? No. But Srila Prabhupada made this wonderful prediction of the Supreme Lord come true. Then another thing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Yadi papi chhadi dharma dura deshe yaye, mora senapati bhakta yabe tathaye. If some sinful people escape and giving up religious principles, go to far off countries, then my commander-in-chief, Mora Senapati Bhakta, will appear to chase them and distribute Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada fulfilled this. Then in Chaitanya Charitamrit, 7.82, upon seeing the chanting and dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda predicted later there would be dancing and chanting in every village. Again, Srila Prabhupada made this happen. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, a personality will soon appear and he will travel all over the world to spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. You see how many acharyas, the Supreme Lord themselves have predicted that this is going to happen. But it was not happening. Prediction is one thing, but to make it happen is a different thing. It was not happening. It finally happened. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says, two more statements. Very soon the chanting of Harinam Sankirtan will be spread all over the world. Oh, when will that day come when people from America, England, France, Germany, Russia will take up kartals and mridangas and chant Hare Krishna in their towns? Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying this in the 19th century. Right? We are in the 21st century where this is happening. He says, when will that day come when the fair-skinned foreigners will come to Sri Mayapur Dham? You see what visionaries we have in our whole parampara. All our parampara is filled with these acharyas who are visionaries, who have all contributed. We have to also recognize that what is the contribution of previous acharyas. They kept this Vaishnav philosophy, Vaishnav tradition alive for 500 years till Prabhupada came and took it all over the world. Because when will that day come when the fair-skinned foreigners will come to Sri Mayapur Dham and join with the Bengali Vaishnavas to chant Jai Sachinandana Gaur Hari? When will that day be? Jai Srila Prabhupada. Right? And so all this is nothing short of magical, right? And how, another one, last 2 points, then I'll be done. How Prabhupada won the hearts of so many contemporaries, so many acharyas from other sampradayas, other religious leaders. Normally you see religious leaders, Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki jai. Many religious leaders don't tend to publicly appreciate other religious leaders. Doesn't happen very much. But you see, Srila Prabhupada, universally he is glorified. I was reading one book by Her Grace Mool Prakriti Mataji, which has got appreciations of Srila Prabhupada by people outside ISKCON, by Gaudiya Mutt, his god brother, by Srila Prabhupada's own god brothers, disciples, and so on. So many of the his initiating Prabhupada's initiating sannyasi guru and his disciples, many of them have given their appreciation of Srila Prabhupada. So one of them, Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, he was very, very old. He was in his late 90s when he gave this interview to Mool Prakriti Mataji. So he specially called her. He said, I want to talk to you. Please come. So he was not meeting anybody, but he met her. And he says, he told this very special story that in 1977, when Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, and he was close to leaving his body, so many of his god brothers, they came to meet him in Krishna Balram temple. Many of his god brothers came to me from Gaudiya Mutt. So Srila Prabhupada, when he met them, he, in a very heartfelt way, Srila Prabhupada was lying down, he was helpless, but Srila Prabhupada, in a very heartfelt way, he begged for forgiveness from all of them. He begged for forgiveness. He says that, for any offenses that I may have committed during my preaching, please forgive me. So he is begging for forgiveness from his own god brothers. So then after, they immediately said, no, Swamiji, there is no offense. Bhaktivedanta Swamiji, there is no offense. What offense? You have done so much. What you have done, we cannot ever repay. And then he asked this Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. He said, he remembered that you used to sing for our Guru Maharaj. So you please sing for me. And he requested him to sing Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan. So he sang this whole bhajan. And then after that, Prabhupada called one of his disciples and he told him that you please offer him Mahaprasad. So he gave him Mahaprasad. So this Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, he is remembering this when he is close. A few months later, he left his body. So he is remembering this interaction with Srila Prabhupada, that what a wonderful soul that when he's leaving his body, he begged forgiveness. He gave me an opportunity to serve him by chanting this. There is one whole website, actually. There's one whole website which talks about all the acknowledgements of Srila Prabhupada by the different acharyas and different eminent personalities. I'm just taking one more from here. Shri Vishwesh Tirtha Swamiji of, I think, Gopinath. He says, just as Bhagirath brought the Ganga to India. What a huge thing. He's saying, just as Bhagirath brought Ganga to India, Swami Prabhupada brought the Bhakti Ganga to the whole world. Today we are reading from this verse which speaks about Ganga. So this Ganga of Bhakti, Srila Prabhupada brought to the whole world. This is being spoken by a contemporary acharya. One more story. I'll conclude in 5 minutes. Yeah. 5 minutes, okay. Gaudiya Mutt, one more Gaudiya Mutt devotee in the same book. He actually was already initiated by some guru. So he has chosen, obviously, to remain anonymous in his acknowledgement of Srila Prabhupada. So he says that Prabhupada, he went to meet Srila Prabhupada again in his last days. So Prabhupada was, he wanted to smell the car. So Prabhupada in his last days, he was completely bedridden. So this Gaudiya Mutt devotee, he came to meet Srila Prabhupada. He was a disciple of some other sannyasi, but he came to meet Srila Prabhupada. When he came to meet him, he went and sat in the room in front of Prabhupada, and actually he had some doubts in his mind. He had some doubts about the holy name. He had some doubts about his own sadhana, that I'm not doing properly sadhana. He had some doubts about Harinam. And he was sitting there in the room with Prabhupada and all Prabhupada's disciples. One by one, all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada started leaving the room. One by one, all of them left. And even the servant of Srila Prabhupada was called out by somebody. He also left. Now only this person and Prabhupada were in the room. Only two of them. And Prabhupada, he looked at this devotee and with his eyes he motioned, come here. Because he didn't have the energy to speak also. Prabhupada was so sick at that time. He just motioned, come. And as he came closer, Prabhupada kept motioning, come closer, come closer. And finally, when he came very close to Prabhupada, Prabhupada just asked him to put his ears near his mouth. And Prabhupada just chanted the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Prabhupada just chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra loudly. He had no energy to speak, but loudly he chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra into this devotee's ears. So this devotee says, as the sound vibration went into his ears, from his ears into his heart, I felt like a waterfall of mercy and Siddhanta pouring into my heart. Just my Prabhupada just chanted Hare Krishna. He felt like a waterfall of mercy and the Siddhanta, Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta just pouring into my heart. He said, all my questions, all my desires were answered beyond my imagination. And he went away fully satisfied. Srila Prabhupada ki. So miracle after miracle. It is unbelievable how much magic Srila Prabhupada has done. And one last magic I will tell, that how Srila Prabhupada very mercifully desired for the appearance of Shri Radha Gopinath in this place. So we have heard this story many times, that Prabhupada ji was giving a lecture here at Bharati Vidya Bhavan. And with Shyam Sundar Prabhu, he came out of Bharati Vidya Bhavan and he pointed with his cane in this direction. He said, there should be a temple in this place. And lo and behold, some 16 years later, Shri Radha Gopinath manifested over here by the desire of Srila Prabhupada. The greatest magic, he may have done so many magic, but for all of us, this is the greatest magic. Because by the magic of Shri Radha Gopinath, by the magic of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, great disciple of Srila Prabhupada, by his wonderful mercy, all of us received the magic of Srila Prabhupada in our hearts. By his magic, we are all sitting here. So we have to be so grateful that this wonderful magic that Srila Prabhupada created, I have only touched upon a few things. As I'm saying, everyone, on this day is a good day to start reading Prabhupada Leelamrit. If you have not read it, start. I remember once Gaur Purnima, I'll end with this. One more thing I'll tell. Gaur Purnima, one sannyasi had come and he asked, so how many of you have read Chaitanya Charitamrit? So some people raised the hands. Then he asked, how many of you are reading right now Chaitanya Charitamrit? Some more people raised hands. He said, how many of you have never read Chaitanya Charitamrit? Many people raised the hands. So he said, he gave immediately instruction. He said, those of you who have read Chaitanya Charitamrit already, today is a good day, start reading again. It was Gaur Purnima day. He said, those of you who are reading Chaitanya Charitamrit, please continue reading. And he said, those of you who have not read Chaitanya Charitamrit, today is a good day, please start reading. Right? So same way, today is a very good day for us to start reading Prabhupada Leelamrit to understand why it is called Leela. We don't use Leela in conjunction to human beings. Leela is always used for the Supreme Lord. But for the Supreme Lord's pure devotee also, it is appropriate to say Leela. So Prabhupada's Leela Amrita, when I'm sorry, I'm going over time, but Prabhupada Leela Amrita, it's difficult to stop. I had an accident way back in 98. And, I was hospitalized for a long time, almost some 23, 24 days. So many devotees used to come to the hospital to meet me. And I was on heavy medication, as you can imagine, tremendous, all kinds of steroids, painkillers being pumped into me. So one devotee came, Trivikram Prabhu. He is no longer there. He passed away in 2009. So Trivikram Prabhu came to meet me in the hospital. I still remember. He said, you must have had lot of medicines. Have some nectar. And he gave me a book, Srila Prabhupada, Nectar, right? So this nectar that Srila Prabhupada has given us, this wonderful nectar, is all there. We can read it. We can be amazed by the magic that he has created. And by that magic, we can try to become devotees. We can try to assist in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So on this appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, which is also Nandotsav, yesterday Maharaj spoke about Nandotsav. So, it was very, very beautiful. On this very auspicious day of the appearance of Srila Prabhupada, let us all pray to Srila Prabhupada that somehow, we are insignificant. We know we are insignificant and we are remaining insignificant. Somehow, if we can just assist in the mission of Srila Prabhupada, what great mission he has created. Let us pray that we somehow become instruments in his hands and take the magic that magic is already there. All the magic tricks are there. All the magic box is there. All the tricks are there in that box. Just take those magic tricks and give it to more people of this world. With that prayer, let us try to make Srila Prabhupada pleased. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Nitaya Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.